Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, Calm with Carlin, yoga and meditation for your everyday life. Today we have a chill flow, so it's going to be a lot of just gentle movements with the breath, little bit of vinyasa style, but going to be more on the easier side in terms of getting heat building in the body. Just a good way to get some movement in and some good stretches in without really overexerting yourself. You don't need any props unless you want to use props. Just your mat and yourself and your breath, and I'll see you in a child's pose when you're ready. Okay, child's pose, you know the drill. Big toes come to out wide to start to open through the hips. The forehead comes down to the mat and the arms come long behind you. Tap into the breath right away. Find nice long inhales, and maybe your exhales are even a little bit longer, activating the parasympathetic nervous system. Senses that we are calm and willing to open up in this space. It's a safe space, our practice, these four corners of your mat. As you start to settle in and continue to take deep breaths, you might find that as you create more space in the body, the heels and the hips rather start to sink a little bit closer to the heels. Maybe you start inching those fingertips a little further out in front of you, opening through the shoulders, but still relaxing them down the back, keeping them away from the ears. Maybe you notice that the spine lengthens, creating space between each vertebrae of the spine. If you'd like to set an intention for your practice today, go ahead and do that now. Maybe your intention is to listen to your breath. Maybe your intention is to only be concerned with these four corners of the mat for the next 20 minutes or so of our practice. Instead of worrying about what happened before you stepped onto your mat or what's going to happen after you step onto your mat, just be present, rooted in the here and now. Take 3 more breaths in your child's pose. And when you're ready, slowly start to make your way to a tabletop position. From your tabletop position, we'll find a puppy pose. Knees stay stacked underneath the hips. Start to walk the hands forward. And then once you find your range of motion with those fingertips out in front of you, start to settle in, letting the forehead, the chin, or the chest drop down to the ground. Just a couple breaths here to open through the front of the body and feel the shoulders open. And when you're ready, slowly start to walk those hands back underneath the shoulders. And take the right leg back behind you. Just take a couple rocks back and forth, starting to lengthen out the back of the legs. Really preparing both the front and the back of the body for our first downward facing dog coming up soon. And then once you've had a couple rocks on that side, bring the right knee back underneath the right hip, and then start to take some rocks back and forth, shifting forward, taking the heel back, feeling a little stretch in the wrists along with that stretch in the left hamstring and calf. And then when you're ready, come back through center. Walk the hands forward, spread the fingertips super wide. Rotate the arms so the insides of the arms are facing away from you. Press firmly into the thumbs and the index fingers. Tuck the toes and lift the hips up to the sky. Find your first downward facing dog. In this downward facing dog, take a moment to find any movement that might feel good.
I kind of just like to pulse my heels down towards the ground, finding a light buoyancy in the toes. And that little bounce is helping me settle in, helping me open up through the back body. Maybe you want to make it a little bit bigger and you bend through one knee as you straighten the opposite leg, alternating, walking your dog, lengthening the calves. Maybe you roll forward into a high plank, engaging the core, and then lift the hips as you settle deeper into your downward facing dog. And then from here, find stillness in your downward facing dog. Take your left foot to the middle of the back of the mat. So your feet will be a little bit closer together. From here, lift the right leg up to the sky. And as you lift that right leg, try and keep that left heel down, intensifying the stretch in the back of the leg and also stretching out that right hip flexor. Now from here, plant the right foot to the outside of the left foot. The pinky edges of the feet will come together, and then start to walk the hands all the way back to the feet. And we're in a rag doll with the legs crossed here. So you can either grab onto opposite elbows, let everything hang heavy. It's going to be a little bit more unstable with the legs crossed, so maybe you choose to bring the fingertips down to the ground as you shift the weight into the toes and fold forward. This cross in the legs is creating a little bit more openness in the IT band. Breathe into any tension. With every exhale, let go of something. Maybe it's just an ounce of tension. Maybe it's a thought that's not serving you in this moment, in this stretch. One more long breath here. Stay in stillness for your exhale. And then keeping the legs crossed, start to walk your way back out to your downward facing dog. And from your downward facing dog, uncross the legs, bring the of the back of the mat and lift the left leg up to the sky. As the right heel peels down to the ground, the left heel reaches a little bit higher to the sky. And then plant that left foot to the outside of the right. Start to walk the hands back towards the feet. And same thing, either bring opposite or hands to opposite elbows. Maybe you keep the fingertips down for this to find a little bit more stability. Knees can be bent pretty generously. Feel the stretch along the IT bands. Tuck the chin to the chest to open up the back of the neck. One more round of breath here. And then slowly make your way back to that downward facing dog with the legs crossed. And then uncross the legs when you're ready. We'll start to get into some larger movements. Take an inhale, lift the right leg up to the sky. Whoa, Mike. And then step the right foot in between the hands. Your low lunge while I fix my microphone. When you arrive there, reach the fingertips up to the sky. And then from here, bring the hands behind the head. And from this position, take an inhale, grow tall in the spine, reach the crown of the head towards the sky. And on your exhale, twist to the right. With the hands behind the head, the range of motion might not be big. Keep squeezing the inner thighs together. Keep pulling that right elbow back. You'll feel a pretty big opening in that right shoulder. Stay here for a breath. And then when you're ready, come back to center. We'll find some cat-cow-like movements in this lunge. So on the inhale, squeeze the shoulder blades together, open up through the heart, lean back slightly. And then on the exhale, bring the elbow to the chest. Inhale, lift up and open. Exhale, squeeze it all in. Couple more rounds, move with your breath. Depending on your breath, you might be moving a little bit slower or a little bit faster than me. Remember that everything I offer is just a suggestion. Your ultimate guide is your breath and your body. When you're finished with your next round, just slowly make your way back to that lunge position. Reach the fingertips back up to the sky, and then plant the hands to frame the right foot. Step back to a high plank, drop the knees in to the belly.
Untuck the toes, inhale, baby cobra.
Exhale, downward facing dog. We'll take that on the other side. Take an inhale, lift the left leg up to the sky. Exhale, step the left foot in between the hands. Drop the back knee, reach the fingertips up to the sky, low lunge. From here, bring the hands behind the head. Take an inhale to grow tall through the spine. Crown of the head reaches up. And on your exhale, twist to the left. Remember, it's not a big range of motion. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Focus on pulling that left elbow back to open up through the left shoulder and twist through the torso. Stay here for a breath. And then after your next exhale, slowly make your way back to center. And we'll find those cat-cows one more time. We'll switch the breath this time. So on the inhale, hug it in tight. And on the exhale, open it up nice and big. Inhale, bring the elbows in, chin to chest. Exhale, open up. Keeping the mind working with this little switch here, forcing us to focus on the breath. Every inhale and exhale matches a movement. And then when you're ready, after your last round, start to make your way back through center. Fingertips reach up to the sky. Plant the hands to frame the left foot. Lift the right knee. Step the left foot back. Drop the knees or just lower all the way down to the belly. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. All right, we're going to get into a little bit of a bigger flow before we start to settle in here. Take an inhale, right leg reaches up to the sky. Exhale, step the right foot in between the hands. Rise up and find your high crescent lunge. Whew. Right knee stacks right on top of the right ankle. Take up lots of space here. Sink that right knee down. Maybe you take a minute here to find a chest opener. Squeezing the shoulder blades together, interlacing the hands behind the back, opening through the heart, chin off the chest. Breathe well. And then reach the fingertips back up to the sky and open up to a warrior two. Maybe you widen your stance even more here. Relax the shoulders, take your gaze over that right middle finger. Settle in. And then from here, bring the hands to heart center. Start to bend the left knee as you straighten through the right leg, finding a skandasana. Now, don't worry about how low you get in your squat. Focus on this stretch in the inner thigh, really pressing down through that right heel to lengthen that inner thigh and that groin area. Stay here for another breath. And then when you're ready, slowly make your way back to your warrior. Take an inhale here, reverse your warrior. And instead of bringing the left hand down the back, bring the left hand out in front of you like you're telling somebody to stop. Notice how that changes the sensation in your torso. Focus on flexing through the wrists and the fingertips. And continue to pull that right knee out towards the right pinky toe. One more inhale here. And on your exhale, you'll cartwheel the hands, step it back to your high plank. Option to drop the knees or just lower down to the belly. Inhale, baby cobra, full cobra, or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. One more time, other side. Inhale, lift the left leg up to the sky. Exhale, step the left foot in between the hands. Rise up, right knee stays lifted, high crescent lunge. Sink down into that left knee. Keep it stacked on top of the ankle. Relax the shoulders. Maybe you find a chest opener. If you do, put the opposite thumb on top. It should feel a little bit funkier. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and open through the heart. And then reach the fingertips back up to the sky. Take an inhale. Exhale, open up. Back to your warrior two. In your warrior two, track the left knee right over the left pinky toe. Relax the shoulders. Gaze over the left middle finger. Settle in, finding the openness in the left hip. And then when you're ready, bring the hands to heart center. Start to bend into the right knee as you straighten the left leg for Skandasana.
Again, the focus here is not so much on getting low in the Skandasana, but instead really focusing on the stretch in the left inner thigh by pressing that left heel down into the mat beneath you. Make it really intentional to find that lengthening. I like to do a little pulsey pulse here, whatever feels good. One more inhale. Stay for your exhale. And use your next inhale to slowly make your way back to Warrior Two. When you arrive in your Warrior Two, take an inhale. Reverse your warrior, left hand behind the head. The right fingertips, instead of going down the back, will come out in front of you like you're telling somebody to stop. Focus on flexing through the right wrist and the right fingers. Focus on continuing to sink into that left knee and tracking the knee over that left pinky toe. Stay here, breathe. Take another inhale. And then on your exhale, cartwheel the hands. Step back to your high plank. Flow through that vinyasa, option to drop the knees, lowering down to the belly. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, take a deep breath in and a long breath out. Twice more like that. Inhale. Exhale, let go. One more time, inhale. Exhale, let go. And start to roll into a high plank position. And from this high plank position, again, you have the option to drop the knees, slowly lower down to the belly. We'll set up for some back bends here. Bring one of your cheeks, doesn't matter which one, down to the ground. Bring the legs close together. The big toes might even touch. The tops of the feet are pressing down into the mat, and the palms are also pressing down into the mat. We'll find four rounds of locust pose, working our way up into the most challenging variation. Starting in just a minute here. Bring your forehead down to the ground, center yourself over your mat. And then when you're ready, take an inhale, lift just the head, neck, and shoulders off. Focus on pressing the tops of the feet and the palms into the mat as you keep the neck long to protect the cervical spine. Feel the mid back and the low back start to work. Feel the core engage. It won't be a big range of motion, but stay for 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down, rest on the opposite cheek. So that's your first variation. We'll add a little bit more with this second variation. Slowly starting to engage the full body to make this pose happen. Come back through center. Take an inhale, lift the head, neck, and shoulders. Now this time lift the hands as well. You lift the hands up and you reach the fingers towards the heels. Maybe get a little bit more height this time. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, keep the neck long. Stay for 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down. Rest on the opposite cheek. Take a moment to reset. Second to last variation. Using pretty much everything to get into this next variation. Come back through center. Take an inhale, lift the head, neck, and shoulders. Lift the hands. Now keeping the big toes touching, lift the legs as well. Only the tops of the thighs are touching the mat. Maybe you get your highest height here. Stay for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down and rest on a cheek. Now when we come into this final variation, instead of lifting shoulders, then hands, then toes, we'll lift everything all at the same time, kind of taking off Superman style with the arms long behind us. And then we'll find one more situation to get a little bit deeper. So come back through center. When you're ready, take an inhale. Lift everything, head, neck, and shoulders, feet, hands. And then if you want, interlace the hands behind the back and use that as leverage to lift you a little bit higher. Squeeze the shoulder blades a little bit closer together. Staying for 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down slow and come into a child's pose. We'll find a closed leg child's pose this time. Knees come to touch. Sit your seat back towards your heels. Take your arms long behind you and your forehead to the ground.
Just spend a lot of time opening up through the front of the shoulders. Now find the opposite action. Allow them to kind of round forward as you settle in. And we'll take one final stretch before we start to settle into our Shavasana. Taking the arms long in front of you, make your way to your downward facing dog. We'll set up for a pigeon pose. So when you arrive in your downward facing dog, left side first, lift the left leg up to the sky. Exhale, step the left foot towards the right wrist. Drop the shin, take the right leg long behind you. You can find a figure 4 on your back if that would feel better. Take an inhale, nice and upright here. And then when you're ready, sink down into that left hip as you start to come down into your pigeon pose. We're staying here for 5 deep breaths. Close the eyes. Any areas of tension in the body, imagine sending the breath there. Settle in, keeping the inhales long and the exhales even longer. About 2 more breaths wherever you are. Whenever you've completed your 5 rounds of breath, you'll start to walk the hands back into center and step right back to your downward facing dog. And we'll take that to the other side. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, right foot comes towards the left wrist. Drop the shin, take the left leg long behind you, come upright for a breath, really sink into that right hip. And then when you're ready, come forward, finding your resting pigeon pose for 5 deep, slow breaths. About 2 more rounds of breath wherever you are. And when you're finished with your 5 rounds of breath, slowly start to come back to center, walking the hands in slightly in front of the shoulders, and then stepping back to one final downward facing dog before coming on to the seat to transition onto the back for our final Shavasana. Before you take Shavasana, if there's anything else you'd like to find, maybe it's a twist or a happy baby, bringing the hands to the outside or inside edges of the feet, pressing the arms, the knees rather, into the armpits. Anything that might feel good to close out your practice. And then when you're ready, hug the knees in tight to the chest. Give yourself one final squeeze. Take an inhale. And then on your exhale, let everything go. Find your Shavasana. Legs and arms out long. Palms facing up for acceptance or down for grounding. Just take this final moment of class, knowing that there's nothing to do, nowhere to be, just you in this space, resting, allowing the body this moment of a reset.
Begin to deepen the inhales and the exhales. Feeling the belly and the chest rise every time you breathe in. Letting go of something. Maybe it's just your breath. Maybe it's a thought that doesn't serve you every time you exhale. Take your arms long behind you when you're ready. Roll on to your left or your right side, using whichever side's bicep as a pillow. And then slowly make your way up to a comfortable seat. And from that comfortable seated position, we'll close class as we always do, bringing the pinkies to the third eye center, keeping the eyes closed or the gaze soft. Thumbs and the pinky finger are touching. Peel the 3 middle fingers away from each other. Create an opening to let the light in. Remember that there's always light to be let in. Thank you all for sharing your practice with me. I bow with namaste. Namaste, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, comment below. Let me know how you liked class and what you'd like to see next time. Share this video with your friends, your family, your grandma, and I'll see you soon. Thumbs up.